I can't tell you how delighted I am that so many of you have been able to join me here this evening in this extraordinarily inspiring building. It is a remarkable masterpiece, and I did just want to start by congratulating the entire team who have brought Edwin Pugh's work back to life, led of course by the redoubtable Paul and Elaine Griffiths. It is truly remarkable what they've managed to achieve, and in a way that must have seemed almost impossible to a small local charity when it started in 1996. In fact, I remember visiting this site some 2 years ago, perhaps it's 3 years now, I'm not sure, as part of a rather inadequate effort to encourage their valiant labours. Now, of course, the restoration of the monastery is driving the regeneration of the whole Gorton community. So I do hope all those concerned feel immensely proud of what they have achieved. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that just being here lifts my spirits and makes me feel that anything is possible, which is just as well because I want to spend, if I may, a few minutes talking about an even more ambitious initiative. As many of you may possibly know by now, I'm currently on a week-long tour of the country, chugging about in the Royal Train, operating on remarkably eco-efficient biodiesel made from used cooking oil. But on this tour, I'm trying to draw attention to a project I launched here in Manchester in February. Project Start takes as its starting point, if you will excuse the first of many intentional and unintentional puns, that mankind is in deep trouble. Our actions are changing the Earth's climate, perhaps irreversibly, and we are consuming the natural resources that sustain us at a rate that cannot continue for long. Put simply, we are, right now, causing serious damage to our own life support systems, and most importantly, I think, to the future well-being of our children and grandchildren. Time is running out to do something about it. None of this, I suspect, will be new to you. After all, you've been bombarded for years by increasingly strident and doom-laden messages from every conceivable direction, from scientists, from politicians, from environmental groups, from filmmakers, and the media. And yes, from me too. And that's the problem. Knowledge of what is wrong is greatly outstripping any efforts to put things right. Yet all the talk about what needs to be done tends to be couched in terms of what we need to stop, reduce, cut, or otherwise avoid. This overwhelming emphasis on negative messages, whilst not at all surprising or inappropriate given the immensity of the problems we face, is getting in the way of finding and adopting solutions. START does not attempt to play down the gravity of the situation, far from it. But it looks for ways to encourage positive actions from the great mass of people who would all do their bit if only they knew what they could do and how much difference it would actually make at the end of the day. Now, I spoke in February about my great-great-great-grandfather, Prince Albert, and his great exhibition, which took place not long before work starting on this monastery. Prince Albert and the Royal Society of Arts saw that by showing people the future in an exciting way, they would not be afraid of it, but would instead see the advantages it could bring. The challenge today is different, but I believe the approach is as valid today as it was then. So START is about showing people in a straightforward but, we hope, inspiring way, the things they can start doing one step at a time, which will not only improve their lives, but also help our one and only inhabitable planet, yes, our one and only inhabitable planet, to sustain us all. During my tour, I've seen some truly remarkable examples of what can be achieved when people really start to look at things differently. Who would have thought that Newcastle City Council, for instance, would start to install beehives across the city? Or that almost every green space, and some that weren't originally very green at all, in Todmorden would be turned over to start growing vegetables, maintained by volunteers and picked by all. I was there this afternoon. It is truly inspiring. I recommend a visit there if you feel able to. And incidentally, in Newcastle, I was given a jar of honey from bees that are kept on the roof of Fenwick's Store in the middle of the city. Well, there are some common themes emerging, many of which I've encountered over the years while travelling up and down the country with my business in the community programme. The first relates to the people who make things happen. They know their communities and they know how to mobilise them behind good ideas. Business in the community calls them community entrepreneurs. They are positive people and they believe in the art of the possible, even when others see only the impossible. They also have scant regard for convention, precedent, normal working hours, and most forms of rules and regulations. The sort of people, I must say, I have a great deal of time for, because they actually get things done. The second theme that I see emerging is a focus on compelling, positive stories. To put it simply, telling good stories that will catch the imagination of everyone who hears them. And that probably means not mentioning either sustainability or biodiversity, important though they are. You really don't need to know anything about the biology of bees or ecosystem services to know that having a whole lot more beehives in Newcastle has to be a good idea. Nor do you need a degree in either nutrition or soil science to know that having fresh vegetables growing along the streets of Todmorden is good for everyone. The third and final theme I want to mention is ambition. However small the starting point, and of course most good initiatives start from small beginnings, there is an underlying passion that says we can change the world and this is how we're going to do it. It is of course hard to change the world if you don't first change your mind. And I've always rather loved Einstein's barbed definition of insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.